there, everybody. It is Cindy Hartzell with Hartzell Confidence-Based Horsemanship, and we are currently in our 10-week series of A Horsewoman's Journey to Empowerment. This episode is called Communicating Effectively with Your Horse. Sorry about that. I was looking at my cheat sheets. So I am really excited about this episode. I'm excited about all of them for different reasons. But communicating effectively with your horse is a topic that we could talk about for a very long time, but we're going to talk about it for 30 minutes. So I'm going to do my best to cover the things that are important to me to cover. Checking my volume. Sorry about that. So let's start with the universal language. Who can tell me what the universal language is? Just write it in the chat, in the comments, if you know what the universal language is that all species speak. And I'll give it just a couple of seconds for somebody to type in what they think it is. And if nobody pops it in, I'll go ahead and share with you what it is. Body language. Right on, Brooke. Yes, body language. And horses are, love is also very universal. Good one, Cindy. We're going to be focusing on, gosh, now you got me thinking, Cindy. So we are focusing on body language because horses are masters at reading body language, and we express love through our body language. And horses, we also tend to talk a lot to our horses in a loving tone. But is it authentically coming from our heart? So you threw me there a little bit, Cindy, because now I'm like, well, I'm going to ponder on how does love show up in our body language. But horses speak, animals are masters at body language, but we're talking about horses today, and we're talking about our horses, as well as our own body language. One of the things I really focus on a lot in myself and interacting with horses and people, and I teach it in my program, is awareness. So many of us go through our day-to-day life not aware of what we are saying with our body language and how often we are incongruent with how we're truly feeling and what we're saying. So when we're dealing with horses, they too are constantly talking to us through body language, and we miss a lot of it. They are asking us always questions through their behavior and their body language. And a lot of those questions have to do with, are you truly my leader? And if we're not aware of the body language of our horses and how we're responding to their questions, we will often answer their question of, are you my leader? With the answer being no. And horses live in herds, and their safety depends on that herd having a leader. Not all horses are born to be leaders, and not all people are born to be leaders, but I believe that each can learn how to become better at leading. If we are truly going to have an effective partnership with our horses built on a relationship of trust, connection, and communication, we have to be willing to grow in our leadership skills. And through our body language, we are letting our horses know if we are up for the task, if we are natural leaders. So when we are engaging with our horses, the minute that we approach them in their pen, their pasture, their stall, wherever their enclosure is, how we approach that enclosure, especially if they see us coming, how we approach that tells them a ton of information before we've actually even said one word out of our mouth. How are we coming to them? Are we on our phone? Are we deep in thought? Are we focused? I got 20 minutes. I got to get this done. I know what I'm going to do. I don't have a lot of time. I got to get it done. Are we agitated? All of that is energy. And horses are masters at reading energy. That's why they are the best bullshit meters we'll ever meet in our life. So as we approach them with our halter in our hand or not, they gather a lot of information on what we're communicating through our bodies. When we walk into their pen, do they crowd us at the gate? Do we slip in the gate so that we hope that they don't try and get out? All of that is communicating to them the level of our confidence as their leader or not. When I'm approaching my pastures to go get one of my horses, the minute that I crest over the hill that they can see me on, I am present with my horses. I'm scanning all of my horses as I do to make sure all is well on the ranch. But then I see the one that I'm going to be working with, and I open my heart center to them. And because we're energy beings and they're energy beings, and I don't know if we've really covered I think we have the head space, the heart space, and the power center, which is our gut. That is what puts us in what we call our vertical core, and we're grounded and present. I am there as I'm approaching my horses. All else things no longer matter. It's just me and that horse. And when I walk in, if they meet me at the gate, that's great. I might give them a little rub on between the eyes. I might rub them on their neck or their shoulder, and I will walk past them beyond the gate, because I want my horses to catch me. I don't want to catch them. So by greeting them at the gate and walking past them does not allow them for pushiness at the gate. If they make it hard, if they're like at the gate, any of them, and they won't let me in, I will use the tail of my lead rope and drive them all back. Establishing at that very moment, I am the leader and you need to back out of my space. I may or may not say anything. So I started this horsemanship journey in 2000. I've had horses all my life, but I made the decision in 2000 that I would be spending the rest of my life becoming the best I could be for horses. And I spent 18 years, 20 to 2018, learning about horses. I was learning from wild Mustangs. I was learning from mentors. I was learning from my herd. I was learning from books. And in that first 18 years, I did very little verbal communication with my horses when we were together achieving a task. Now, when I was out feeding and graining and cleaning, or, doctoring, yes, I'm communicating with them, but I'd said very little. And the reason for that is because my mentors told me not to. And the reason they told me, at first I thought that was crazy, and I wasn't sure I liked it because, we are vocal beings, and we like to, oh, I love you so much, and you're so great, and don't you dare look at me like that, and back off. We're very good at using our words, but horses don't read words. Yes, they can learn commands, but they don't use words to communicate. They use body language. So in order to be the best I could be for them, I had to learn to become aware of my body language and how to master it. And within that is bringing my energy up to push them away, to show that I'm ready. Are you? And to bring my energy in, to draw them towards me, and to make my energy off of them so that they know it's time to just take a break. You can't do that when you're using your words all the time. So back to going into my horses, I don't use words, I use my body language. And if I'm being crowded, I push them off, I drive them away, and then I go and I take a space farther away from the gate so that I don't have crowding at the gate. I don't want crowding at the gate. I'm going to read what Cindy says in the comments for a minute. They are so sensitive to our intention, being aware of our heart intention. When we fill ourselves with the purest form of love, they know it. When we realize how much they feel the more connection and relationship we develop with them. Words were meant more for creation than communication from the beginning. That's beautiful, Cindy. Thank you. So when I take a position further away from the gate, I will turn and face the herd, and most likely they have turned and faced me like, hey, wait a minute, why'd she just walk past us? And I will be focused on the one that I want for that day. And if they don't come up to explore me, I may go up and start moving that one's feet by playing with their balance point, moving their hip, moving their shoulder, getting them to just engage that way. And eventually they will come up to me so that I can halter them. And off we go. All of the other horses, as soon as I start focusing on the one I want and start moving their body in places they didn't intend to go, the others know that they're not the chosen one for the day, and they'll go off and do their own things. Now, we all have horses that we have allowed to get into our bubble. Our bubble is our arm's length all the way around us. And most of us women love to have our horses nuzzle us and cuddle us, and we love to kiss them on the nose, and I love to smell their shoulders or that, their neck. But sometimes they will come in close to us without being invited, and sometimes they'll come in so close that we'll actually take a step back, like, whoa, I can't halter you when you're this close to me, so we'll step back, thinking nothing of it. But in the horse's world and in the herd dynamics and horse psychology, that horse has caused us to take a step back, which in that horse's mind tells them they are the leader. Very subtle. So often happens without any awareness. I see the women I work with do this all the time. And I'm like, do you realize your horse just made you step backwards out of their way? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah. They came right in and you were trying to do something, or you were talking to me and they were right here, that rather than move them back, you stepped back, and in their mind, you've told them they're the leader. Horses pay attention to that. Horses do it to each other. If you have a horse that lives by themselves in their own stall and paddock, you don't see that often unless they get the opportunity to go play with other horses. But when we step into the horse's world, they are not a part of our family. They are not our baby, even though they are. We have become a part of their herd, and I teach the women I work with to step into that leadership role through communication. There's a saying, in horse world, he who moves his feet first loses. So if you watch horses interacting with one another, when one horse comes up and drives that other horse away a step or two or more, depending on the level of energy that horse is coming in with, tells that other horse that the one who moved his feet is superior to him. When we are grooming our horses or working with our horses and they turn their butts on us, I've seen so many women, oh, he wants to have his butt scratched. Well, that's great. But if he turned his butt to you and you started scratching it, who's the leader in that moment? Horses, from the minute we walk into their enclosure until we take their halter off and leave, are keeping score with little tiny body language movements to see, are you my leader or are you still not my leader? Because think about it. Horses find safety in numbers. And when we take our horse out of their enclosure, their safe space, we have now become a herd of two. And the number one thing on a horse's mind, regardless of, it might be cookies, that's number two. It might be playing games, that's number two. Might be a lot of things you think it is, but really the number one thing is, am I safe? And if you have a super confident horse, they will always seem like they feel safe. But that doesn't mean they see you as the leader that's keeping them safe. And that matters, because when you take your horse out of their enclosure, anything and everything can happen. Shit can hit the fan in a matter of seconds. And if your horse doesn't see you as their leader and you have not nurtured the relationship of trust, connection, and communication, your horse is going to go, peace out, see you later, and leave your butt behind, or dragging you behind them, or rope burns, because they don't see you as a leader. I teach my horses, when something spooks them, turn and face it and then look at me for direction. But don't leave me, because I've got you. That's because I'm constantly working on proving myself worthy of being a leader that they can trust and count on. And that's all done through this body language of interaction in everything we do. If we're on the ground or in the saddle and we're trying to get our horse to do something, back up, go sideways, go to the gate, go between the poles, trot, walk, you know, anything. If we are asking them to do something and they don't give it to us, and we have tried numerous times to the point where we get frustrated and or they're really acting up and we give up and do something else, we have told our horses we are not a leader worthy of them trusting and following. We have to see it through. And that's where learning the tools and the skills and the knowledge and the understanding of how to apply each in equal doses helps to set you up to be that leader. When I halter my horses, I expect them to stand still and I expect them to turn their nose into me so that I can give them a hug and bring that that long part of my rope over their head. And by the time I get that over their neck, they are putting their nose into the halter. I want my horses, and I expect my horses to participate as a partner in everything we do. Grooming, catching, haltering, bridling, saddling, bathing, hoofs. I expect them to participate. And when I'm teaching ones to learn how to do this, or somebody's having a bad day, like Dakota the other day when she was a hot mess, she was struggling to stay with me. She was not acting like my partner. But I never stopped being her leader. And that was all through my body language, not my words. My words didn't mean shit to her. It was, are you grounded and present, and do you feel me as a mess, and can I feel you here as my leader? Don't leave me. Goes both ways. I don't want my horses to leave me, and I promise them that I will not leave them. That's a leader. What are some of the other ways that I see horses asking, are you my leader? Well, when you have a treat for them or you're giving them their grain bucket, all my horses know, everybody gets a morning grain bucket here. Everybody, I have 12 of them, and they all know that when they see their grain buckets coming, they all have a station, and they all go to their stations. And if they aren't, thanks Cindy, if they aren't in their station, I will guide them, turn their forehead, turn their hindquarters, whatever part of the body I need to direct in order to get to their station. I may or may not say something, but it doesn't matter what I'm saying. It matters what I'm doing in my body. And I will not make an exception. I operate by the golden rule of take the time that it takes, so it takes less time. And I teach all of my women students to embody that. It's not just a cool saying, but it's power. You will hear me often say little cliche statements, quotes. There's power in them, and I've been hearing them since 2000, and they go deeper and deeper. And the more that I teach them and the more that I practice them, the more deeper they go. I will be late, and all my clients know this about me. I will be late before I will skip taking the time that it takes, so it'll take less time. Because if I ignore that, like, oh shit, I'm in a hurry, gosh darn it, dream catcher, All right, I'll just give you your grain here when you know you're supposed to be over there. If I do that once, I have told that mare I am not a leader worthy of trusting. I may or may not mean it, and you're never going to know on any given day if I truly mean it or I don't. It takes a lot of time to create the trust of a horse as you and their leader, and it takes a second to break it. I tell my clients, don't lie to your horse. If you ask your horse to do something, follow through. Take the time that it takes. If you don't know, if you're asking them to do something and they're not doing it and you're both getting frustrated, that is the moment where you go, okay, I'm lacking in my knowledge or my skills or the tools to achieve this thing that I'm trying to achieve. I need to reach out to my professional coach or mentor, which is someone like me. But what can I do to end this where I'm recognizing I'm not fully equipped in this moment to get the result I'm looking for? I don't want my horse to think that I'm not truly a leader and I'm just going to go, oh, forget it. Because then they're going to go, I'm the leader. And no, they don't keep score, but it's meaningful. Did you show up as a leader, or did you quit me as a leader? So what I will do in that moment, I will ask them, and I teach my students, ask them to do something you know they know how to do. Okay? So you're trying to get them to go over the bridge. You're trying to get them to go through the water. You're trying to get them to go onto the tarp. And it's turning into a shit show. You're both frustrated. You want to scream. They want to scream. Stop. Ask them to back up. I don't just ask my horse to back up. I ask my horse to back up a particular number of steps. And when I say steps, I mean the front feet. Back up 6 steps, which means each front foot 3 times. And pause. Take a deep breath. Get back into your vertical, grounded core. Smile at them. Disengage their hindquarters to the left, to the right. Move the forequarters to the left and to the right, and look at them with so much love in your heart, because they are the best horse in the whole arena at this moment. You couldn't be more proud. Even though 10, 30 seconds ago it was a shit show and you were both like, ah! Right now in this moment, your horse is a winner, and that's the note that you leave it on. Now you may be done for the day and you put him away and you're both happy. In the back of your mind, there's that nagger going, what the fuck are you happy about? You didn't achieve your goals. You didn't get it done. You don't know what you're doing. Your horse is an idiot. Push that out. Leave it behind in the rearview mirror, because you just got your horse to take 6 steps back, move his hindquarters left and right and the forequarters left and right, and you love him to pieces. And you did it. So you're proud of both of you. Go on to do something else or put them away. But all of that is body language communication. And there's a funny thing about us humans. I'm watching my time, and I told you I could talk about this for a lot longer than 30 minutes. But what was I going to say? Oh man, I lost my saying what I was going to say. The point I want to say, I want to get across is Everything we do means something to our horses, and it means more. Our body language, our intention means more to our horses than anything coming out of this chatterbox. Because we are masters at incongruency. Saying one thing, but feeling something different. Well, they feel more than they understand the verbal. So, to communicate more effectively with your horses, the best place to start is breathing deep into your body, connecting your head brain, your heart brain, and your gut brain. I call that the vertical core, the grounding rod, connected to the universal wisdom and intuition and down into Mother Earth, grounding us to the ground in this present moment. So we are getting both of the intuition, which horses are masters at. Our heart is wide open with love, and we're grounded through our gut, our power center, to the Mother Earth. And we go out and be aware of what is being said through your body and theirs. If you go to put their halter or their bridle on and they're turning to the right, they are not respecting you as a leader, and they are not participating with you as a partner. And you need to work on the relationship of trust, connection, and communication. That is the solid foundation for a fabulous partnership. Margot said, wow, your horses sound super well behaved. They are creatures of routine. They like a routine. They thrive on routines. As their leader, I have created a routine amongst the 12 here on the ranch. And 4 of those 12 are still fairly wild. And they know the routine as much as the others that are not wild. And I do not sway from it. It doesn't mean I'm not flexible. But when I feed them grain, they get fed where they always get fed. And no, you may not steal anybody else's. I will come in with my training stick every now and then. One of the boys, it's never the girls, one of the boys will go, I'm going to push him off because I want his grain and I want to stand where he stands. And so that's what I'm going to do. I will drive them off with my hands and my body language. And if that doesn't work, take the time that it takes so it takes less time. I go back to my ranger. I grab my training stick, which is always in the ranger, and we will have a conversation. The training stick is an extension of my body. I can communicate better from a farther distance, and I will put him back on his bucket, and that one who got drove off will then go back to their bucket. So it's consistency. I will not lie to my horses. When I ask my horse to do something through my body language, I promise them that we will see it through to the end of completion. And if it happens to be something that they're struggling with, or I don't have the time, I will make a mental note. This is a hole in our relationship. This needs nurturing. But right now, I don't have the time to do that. So I am going to go back to the basics that I know they do very well. One may sidestep very well. I'll ask them to do that. One may back really well. I'll ask her to do that. One may pivot on the 4 quarters really well. I'll ask her to do that so that my heart is beaming with pride and she feels super successful. And we'll end right there. And I will come back when I have time and we will work on that hole. And they know that about me. Oh, Brooke, I'm glad it was all helpful. And yes, the tip for when we get stuck in frustration, oof, how many times? I'm guilty of it too. I will like be working and this, and I'm like, oh, find myself like, right? And then if I'm, then the horse is either already or going to be there shortly after. And so that's when I take 4 deep breaths, get back in my body, get in my vertical core. That gives them a time to reset. And then we work on something we know how to do. And then I will lick and chew for probably 24 hours on what went wrong, what was I missing, what was I not doing, what was I doing wrong, what could I have done better? I will go back and ask myself all these questions and play it over and over and over in my head. But you guys, I'm not playing it over and over in my head from a place of frustration and irritation and anger. I should know this by now. Or they should No shitting allowed in my program. Really. I'm coming from a place of curiosity. What happened? What did I miss? What did I say wrong? What did they misunderstand? I would love for you guys to learn how to take moments of frustration, turn them into simple successes that the two of you can do, and then go back and ponder it with curiosity and nothing else, no other emotion, just curiosity. What happened? All right, like I said, this is a big topic. The art of communication, communicating effectively with your horse. It's not just your horse. Communicating effectively with yourself. What are you saying to yourself? Through your body language, through your chatter. What are you saying to those in your life? Through your body language. My husband's recovering from knee replacement surgery. I need to be there for him. He's been there for me for some pretty serious accidents that I had with RC. He was so patient. What am I saying to him with my body language when I've got a gazillion things to get done, and now his things as well? And he needs me to do some physical therapy with him. My words might say something, but my body could be saying something different. So, awareness. What are you saying with your body? To your horses, to those in your life, and to yourself. All right, guys, go play with this. Share in the group your ahas, your questions, your concerns, your frustrations, and how you turn that into success. Share on our page. That's what it's here for. This is episode 7 in our 10-part series. So I'm looking at my list. Next week, it's going to be setting realistic goals, which is perfect after our communicating effectively with horses. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and I will see you next week.